Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Living in Denver. My name is Adam, and if this is the first time joining me, welcome. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my 3 pros and my 3 cons of Golden, Colorado, one of my favorite parts of the Denver area. I grew up really close to here and it has a special place in my heart, so really excited to share some of this with you guys. Stay tuned. All right, guys, we're going to jump right into it. So my first pro of Golden, Colorado is, without a doubt, the location. So Golden is located on the far west side of town, and it actually backs up right up against the mountains. So if you're an active, outdoorsy type person, but still like to be close enough to town, Golden's a great option for you. I grew up in Wheat Ridge, which bordered Golden, so I've got a lot of history and just experience being in this part of town, and it's without a doubt one of my favorite parts of Denver, and definitely a place that I aspire to potentially live in the future as well. So as far as location goes, one really cool thing if you're a skier, when you're a skier and you're a weekend warrior, you work Monday to Friday and you only can go up on the weekends, you're gonna hit traffic. You're gonna deal with the incredible amount of people that are going up on the weekends, and if you're not really into that, which I definitely am not, you really try and strategize when you're going to leave, when you're going to come back from the ski slopes, and just have to deal with some of those types of concerns. And one really cool strategy by living in Golden is you can go up a totally different way and skip the first 25-30 minutes that everybody else in Denver is just following I-70 westbound to get up to the foothills. And if you live in Golden, you can take Clear Creek Canyon, which is actually the same place that you would go if you were going to go up to Blackhawk and Central City, which is our only gambling type area in Colorado. It's definitely not Vegas, but there's still a couple really cool casinos, really nice food, a fun place to just escape for the night. So that's another really nice area about being close to Golden, is you can go up to Central City and Blackhawk. But Clear Creek Canyon is a great opportunity to skip a lot of that traffic on the weekends and get a little bit of a head start on a lot of people for the ski slopes. So other than that part of the location being so great with Golden, another really nice thing is it just has all of this diversity in the landscape. So you've got what we call Table Mountain, which, as you can imagine, is just a flat kind of a table mountain. That's a big scenic viewpoint in Golden. Most of the condos, houses, pretty much everything has that view from where you're situated in Golden. A lot of people really like to go up there and hike, bike. You can go on the top and see really good sunsets. You have a really nice view from the top of Coors Brewery. That's one of the probably the most famous aspects of Golden is Coors Brewery. Talk more about that a little bit later. And another really popular spot is what we call Lookout Mountain. So Lookout Mountain is this really windy road that's right outside of Golden. It just basically looks down right on top of Golden, and there's a really nice restaurant on the top, but also you'll see in the summertime all sorts of paragliders, hang gliders, people that are really taking advantage of the crazy wind that you have going on, the upslope and the drafts that are going on at this real steep hillside. So it just creates a lot of really fun views when you're at restaurants and just hanging out downtown. You could almost always in the summertime look over towards Lookout Mountain and see people up in the sky kind of floating around and catching all those thermals. So definitely a really unique aspect of Golden. So those are just a couple of quick kind of insider tips that I really like about the location of Golden. The last one I'll leave you with is I'm a CU Buff alumni, so Boulder is about a 30-minute drive outside of Golden, and it's another kind of a back way to get to get between Golden and Boulder. It's called Highway 93, and that just basically skirts all of the foothills and all of the really unique roads that go up into different parts of the foothills and the mountains, and an endless amount of hiking and just different activities that again are really kind of lesser known. Not as many people take advantage of that part. Most people will just go up I-70. So you have all these other areas that are really close to Golden that you can take advantage of, and it's just within a 10 or 15-minute drive from your house. So just a couple of location definitely pros about Golden, Colorado. All right, so I'm going to share with you guys my second pro of Golden, Colorado, and this one is just the small town feel and the downtown unique aspect that they have. So with Golden, there's a really cool downtown area, very nice walkability. It's really just one long strip, maybe about 3 or 4 blocks, Lots of really historic restaurants and bars. There's also a creek that goes through there, and in the summertime, you will literally see hundreds of people on inner tubes floating down with, you know, kids, families, but also a lot of college kids drinking beers. Just a really fun, you know, active, lively weekend spot to hang out. So really nice parks that surround that area. But there's also a few of my favorite restaurants in all of Denver are in this downtown Golden area. One of them is called the Table Mountain Inn. Table Mountain Inn is just this really nice historic, it's a resort, a hotel, but it also has a really nice Mexican restaurant down in the you know, the ground level, and a lot of people will just go to the Table Mountain Inn just to have a meal. So had a lot of really special dinners and celebrations there over the years, and it's just a really fun spot that's got some, you know, cool views, but also it's just, you know, a very historic place. Right across the street from that is my favorite pizza joint in all of Colorado, and it's called Woody's Pizza. Pre-COVID, they had a really good buffet. I haven't actually seen if that's come back yet. I'm sure it will, because that was one of the most popular parts of people going to Woody's Pizza, but definitely check out those two if you guys are going to Golden. And then there's also these really, really cool new brewery and just like multi-use spots. So one of them is called New Terrain Brewery, and that's about a mile just up the road from downtown Golden. Really large, just where they've developed this area. It's really cool because you can have dogs actually outside hanging out there. They have live music almost 7 days a week in the summertime. And it's one of these places that just has all kinds of different demographics of people, between families and young people, old people. You have people that are going on bike rides. Again, Golden's got such great, you know, outdoor, right out your back door, you have all kinds of cool activities for biking and hiking, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people will do those activities and then just go grab a beer here afterwards. So, you know, really nice, you know, restaurants, bars, all that kind of stuff is available downtown. So definitely the downtown feel is another big pro for me. You know, as you're in downtown Denver, you have all the restaurants and spots down there, and then there's a few other little neighborhoods that also have similar areas where you can, you know, go and walk around and kind of go shopping, you know, window shopping, or just enjoy being in one location with a lot to offer. And Golden, to me, is probably one of the best scenarios of that, where you're able to just walk around, park your car, and you can spend, you know, the whole afternoon just jumping between different places and just really enjoying that downtown area. So definitely a big pro for me is that downtown location. All right, gonna share with you guys now my third and final pro. There's definitely a lot more pros to Golden than just these three, but just wanted to highlight three and kind of give you a few, one maybe that you haven't heard before and were a little bit more unique. So this third one, you know, most people already know this, but Coors Brewery is in Golden, Colorado, and it's been there for years and years and years. And it's definitely a staple of Golden. So anywhere that you're at in Golden, you'll be able to see, you know, vintage Coors Brewery signs and different sorts of brick walls around town that have the old Coors Brewery logo and different stuff like that going on everywhere. But just in general, it's such a cool, historic, and just very recognizable business to have. So many people in that area are employees of Coors Brewery, but also there's some really fun things you can do. There's a brewery tour that is really fun and popular in the summertime especially, but you can do it year-round, where it'll just basically take you through the entire brewery, and you can see all the different, you know, rooms and different places where they keep the hops and all sorts of really fun, unique ways to see how Coors is made. And in addition to that, there's also actually a back road outside of, it's between Golden and actually the neighboring neighborhood called Applewood. And on that back road, it basically borders Coors Brewery for several miles. And it's just such a fun road to take, because it just gives you that feel of how big and massive this operation is for Coors Brewery. I mean, there are just these enormous, I can't remember what you even would call them, but these huge things that hold all the hops and just all these different production areas. There's a big fenced-in area where I bet there's over 1,000 kegs. They're stacked 10 tall and, you know, 50 wide, a huge, huge, huge area just with kegs. And it's just really fun, again, just to drive that back way into Golden and just see the entire landscape of Coors Brewery and just all that goes into, you know, producing Coors beer and just distributing it across the nation. So definitely a really cool pro to have for Golden, is just having Coors Brewery as its staple and its kind of its benchmark of town. So definitely a big pro for me. All right, guys, I'm going to share with you my first con of Golden, Colorado. So as you can tell, I really love Golden. It's one of my favorite areas, but I do still have a few things about it that aren't necessarily the most desirable, and one of those is accessibility. So while it's very accessible from a standpoint of going up to the mountains and easy access to skiing and hiking and biking and all these great outdoor activities that make Colorado and Golden so special, there are also some negative aspects to its accessibility. And the first one being there aren't very many major thoroughfares in and out of town. So to get in and out of Golden can be a bit of a, not a huge deal, but a little bit of a headache at times. So, unlike some of the other neighborhoods in and outside of Denver, Golden is kind of up against the mountains and it's kind of by itself. So there are some single lane roads and just some different issues you might deal with if there's bad traffic or construction going on at the time. So sometimes you're going to deal with a little bit of accessibility issues just from getting in and out of town. Another part that kind of goes along with that is just the accessibility of getting into downtown Golden. So there's a pretty small footprint of Golden, Colorado, and the main focal point is downtown. Downtown is really just one main strip of about 3 or 4 blocks, and then for all the parking and just people that are trying to get to this really cool area, there aren't as many parking garages or just places for people to easily park and just access this area. So if you don't know where you're going and maybe it's your first time to Golden, there's a good chance you're going to end up parking a couple blocks away and just have to kind of navigate through some back streets just to get to downtown. So not a huge con, but I definitely wanted to at least mention that accessibility is something that, could be an issue for some people. All right, so my second con of Golden, again, this isn't a huge thing for locals and people that have been in Colorado their whole lives, but if you're out of state and you're moving to Golden or just moving to Denver in general, if you're coming from a warmer place, a warmer climate, the winters are probably going to affect you to some degree. And with Golden, since it does back right up against the mountains, what that means is you have shorter daylight and the seasons tend to last a little bit longer. So when the rest of Denver in the middle to end of March is starting to warm up and the snow is melting and the sun's out a little bit longer, Golden, you gotta wait an extra couple weeks until you get to that same point as the rest of town. So since again, you're right up against the mountains, the sun sets, sometimes in the middle of winter, even as early as like 4 o'clock. It's like that 20 to 30 minute difference from other parts of town, but that's a big difference when it's again 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it's already getting dark. So, a lot of people that are really, coming from different places that aren't used to that might affect you a little bit more than others. So that would be one part of that, and also kind of going along with that, just the temperature. So it is, still very close to the mile high as Denver is, about 5,000 feet above sea level. But as you start to move a little bit further west and might live in some of the neighborhoods in Golden that are up against the hills and maybe a little bit higher in elevation, again, if you're, just dealing with, for example, if you have your house, a lot of people don't think about this, but if your driveway faces north, you're gonna have a lot of icy and additional snow that's not gonna melt, and you're just gonna have to go through some of the upkeep of dealing with some of that stuff at your house. If you're not into that, then that might be a big con for you. So I would just definitely recommend for anybody, when you're looking at real estate in Golden, just make sure you're thinking about that kind of stuff and keeping in mind what direction your house is facing and where it is. If it's up against the mountains, you might have a little bit longer winter and you might have it be a little bit colder and get a little bit darker. So just kind of keep those things in mind if you're looking into Golden, Colorado. All right, so for my third con, this is one that I bet you haven't heard before, so I'm giving you guys an insider tip here. A con for a lot of people, believe it or not, is the funky smells. I know that sounds weird, but Golden does have a very distinct scent, a very distinct fragrance. If you're driving through Golden, you have your windows down, without a doubt you're gonna notice it. And again, if you grew up here or you've been living in Golden, this side of town for a long time, it's not a big deal. You're gonna get used to it, but some people that does affect quite a bit, and they're just like, man, I don't like how Golden smells. And that's for 2 primary reasons. The first one, as I'm sure you're guessing, is the Coors Brewery. So I don't know if you've been around a brewery before, but it does have a very distinct kind of a hops, kind of a funky smell. Definitely not a enjoyable smell for most people. It's not horrible, but it's distinct. So Coors Brewery definitely puts off quite a bit of a smell, and you're going to notice that. If you live in Golden and you're up in different parts of town that are maybe up on the hills and not right next to the brewery, it won't be quite as big of a deal, but you're definitely still going to notice it. And the second one's a little bit worse, and that's actually there's a big water treatment plant. And the water treatment plant is very close to the brewery. It's just a little bit north of the brewery by maybe a half a mile. It's on the other side of Highway 58, which goes in and out of Golden. And the water treatment plant is a much worse smell, and it's only going to be something that you're going to notice when you're driving right past it. So maybe if you're on Highway 58 and you're driving past it maybe for 30 seconds before you pass and 30 seconds afterwards, but it's got a really bad smell. So luckily there aren't too many homes in that area, so you're not going to worry about that when you're doing your home search if Golden's a high priority area that you're looking at. But keep that in mind too, and if you haven't noticed either of those yet, come out to Golden and we'll talk to you next time and see what you guys think about it. But again, not a huge con, but that's definitely something at least I wanted to mention for you. All right, there you have it. Those are my 3 pros and my 3 cons of living in Golden, Colorado. As you can tell, Golden's definitely one of my favorite parts of town, so I really enjoyed sharing a few insider tips with you guys today. If you have any additional questions about Golden, I would love to chat more, whether it even be Golden or any part of Denver. If you haven't already realized, my name is Adam Lang. I am a licensed real estate agent here in Denver, Colorado. And as much as I love making videos like this, what I really enjoy even more is just helping my friends, my family, and customers and viewers like yourselves just learn a little bit more about this great city and these great neighborhoods around Denver, Colorado, and hopefully help you find whether it be a new primary home or maybe it's a investment property or a vacation home. So I'm going to leave you guys my phone number and my email address below. Make sure you go ahead and shoot me an email, shoot me a text, give me a phone call, whatever is easiest for you. I'm available for you 24/7. And if you're out of state, feel free to reach out to me and we can set up a Zoom call. I'd love to just get a one-on-one with you and just learn a little bit more about what you're looking for and hopefully figure out some ways that I can provide some value to you and help you as you start your home search here in Colorado. So hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys on my next video, Living in Denver.